The Chinese philosophy is shown in taijiQuan. It's an art for realizing one's power to the very fullest.
But it's not meant for combat.
In Chinese Kung Fu, each style has its own merits. There are styles that have wide and short stances, plus styles that attack the center, and some with extended movement. All in all, hard stances are signs of power. But there's little mention of Tai Chi. So actually, what is Tai Chi?
There are various tales about the origins of Tai Chi, amongst which our article is based on the legend of Master Chung Sam Feng. One day, while meditating, he watched a fight between the snake and the crane and developed Tai Chi, putting together the movements that they displayed.
Early on, it was called long fist, cotton boxing, soft hands boxing, until a man called Wang Chongnok of Shanxi wrote the Tai Chi manual and formally established Tai Chi. After generations, there emerged Yan, Chan, Xun, and Mo, forming the 5 schools.
Later, Grandmaster Wang Jun-ok put together theory and practice. After this, he named the style taijiQuan. He also wrote the philosophy of taijiQuan.
taijiQuan came recently and has very steadily built up a following. Back in ancient times, when people fought, they primarily used speed to overcome opponents. The slowest loses, and the most force wins. If I use greater force, I'll win. Then over time, you start to discover that even if you've moved faster than I did, I can win with only small movements. Even if you were stronger, I could easily fling you away.
There are 2 main categories of Chinese Kung Fu, Oiga-kun and Loiga-kun, and Tai Chi comes under Loiga-kun. The term taijiQuan originally came from Taoism. It's a very classical expression. To really try and define Tai Chi and taijiQuan, we need to go by the philosophy of Tai Chi as well as Taoism. It's a moving form of yoga and meditation combined, using yin-yang. Yin-yang implies softness and power. What do I mean? The way yin-yang applies here is it relates to the crucial aspect of balance in Kung Fu. The leg which supports us is the real or power leg. The other leg is the false or soft leg. That is the actual difference. What Master Wong's theory does is it promotes the many different styles of Tai Chi that are around today, like how to exert power and to distinguish between power and softness. Even then, he knew quite a lot about the science of dynamic movement, such as using little power for maximum force. In fact, it's all based on the principle of gears.
Someone once compared taijiQuan to mechanical movements. Our joints are like accelerators. The impact from the attack is transferred from one joint to the next.
He attacks me. This is real force. Okay? All right, now I'll grab him. Go. That was real. Once again.
In reverse, power from within is amplified by the joints. So therefore, the use of one's joints is indispensable to Tai Chi.
The power of the joints comes from the hips, and then progressively it picks up pace. And the strength, which originates from the leg, is then transferred via the hip up to the fingers.
The relationship between strength and power is the fighter having an absolute conviction of will, the transfer of power, and the absence of physical strength.
You advance and I'll counter. Now I'll use only my hips. Here's an upward roll. Now I divert in and push him away. Now down, ward off, using hips. He's down.
You lead your opponent's punch until its power is peaked. When the power is peaked, you push it down. The key is more power with less energy, like this, and down he goes.
taijiQuan is simply the use of strength of the mind and is not about physical power. Tai Chi discourages the use of brute strength to conquer an opponent. So the main idea is to listen very carefully to every movement of your opponent. You look out for his weaknesses. This is the strength of the mind. What this means is you find out his weak spot and hit at the appropriate time. This is the reason why mind power will always prevail over brute strength.
If we do this, while his stance is firm, I have 4 contact points where my body is in contact with his body, like up here. So then I must detect his weakest point. Now, I kick here, like this, and then I pull in, and then I push my head. Strength should be used at these 3 points, and then you need to rotate the shoulder, just like this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. The movements are circles. The energy continues where the strength ends, though every point can be the beginning. It can also be the end, like in a endless cycle. After the first move, it won't stop before the second. There are no single movements. There are weak spots, and there are ways to overcome them. When he punches, I would never block his punch directly. I'll roll with his punch. And again, when he throws a punch at me, I divert the energy, pushing it away. Okay, and there's more. Now punch again. So you press down like this, followed by the leg move. I'm not using my arm strength to push. And go again, just like this. At this point, he's off balance. And with a leg sweep, he'll fall easily. Like that.
Tai Chi seems like a softer Kung Fu, with no beginning or end in its movements. Its advance and retreat moves unendingly, just like water. And in its forms are the 8 movements and 5 steps. These 13 forms are taijiQuan's key elements.
The 8 movements and these 5 steps separate into external and internal categories. Well, the 8 moves are the basic for a technique called pushing hands. Ward off press, roll back, push down are some of the internal 8 energies.
To use these movements, you must first train yourself to comprehend the different forces used against you and how to control and then subdue the person. You don't use your ears for this, but your body to feel every move that your opponent is making against you. This is quite a difficult concept to grasp because of this. To be good at Tai Chi, one needs to have more than 10 years training.
we practice the 108 movements, we must remember to have our tongue against the roof of the mouth, breathing naturally. Your shoulders should be relaxed. Crouch slightly with your back pushed out. These are all important mnemonics.
Tai Chi uses the 8 movements and 5 steps to form the 108 movements. To bring maximum power into play, pushing hands must be practiced to subdue the enemy.
Pushing hands is actual Tai Chi in action, because the Tai Chi fist has bodies applied here. When engaged in this exercise, we must try to feel the sensitivity of our opponent's energy through his movements. So when we practice with our partner, when I touch him, I feel his subtle movements and respond.
In pushing hands, one knows where to yield, using softness against force, using their strength, responding with all angles in mind, relent to pressure with no resistance, feeling the opponent through your body in order to ascertain force, direction, position, responding quickly if the attacker uses force, diverting with softness. My speed will vary with the opponent's speed, following his moves and responding.
There are different forms for pushing hands in Tai Chi. There's a single-handed and then there's with both hands. There are over 10 distinct forms. The steps here look similar to jogging, back and forth. This one is, it's called Fu Yung pushing hands. In addition to practicing all the set forms, there's also free sparring pushing hands. Tai Chi has 6 different stages, which are the following: form, stance, will, chi, power, and spirit. So we start off by practicing form. After that, we move on to position and posture. Then on to will. Then chi, power, and finally spirit. Therefore, one must be very familiar with the form before doing power and spirit.
Weapons in a battle are mighty accessories. One can win only with speed and good technique. Tai Chi has a wide range of weapons. When performing, how does a person make use of them? In use, the Tai Chi knife is relatively a firm weapon. The main emphasis is on hip power, bringing together all of the elements of Tai Chi.
It primarily emphasizes split, ward, and intercept. Much of the time, the knife is moving over one's head and back, and the power is transferred from the hips. It's a very straightforward weapon. Despite this, it's quite unyielding. So during its use, a certain fierceness has to be exercised over the knife. For bringing it into full play, hip movements are very important. Like that. The knife must go, over one's back. Like that. Then out. You see? As you can see, these come from the hips. Every move involves using the hips for power. When I turn like this, I add power. It's the center of every move. Tai Chi sword uses softer and more supple movements, being more agile, it requires focused positioning. It also requires leaping and hopping techniques, which are crucial. And it's important that you have a good wrist action. The combined movements of both hands helps create synergy.
The Tai Chi sword requires extremely soft techniques. It's not for attack, and focuses on using the wrist and light steps. It expresses great power through suppleness.
As the sword is agile, the wrist rotations are extremely important. It doesn't involve any big movements. Both of the hands work in unison in order to create a gearing effect that maximizes power. The sword is the king of close-range weapons. Its method of use includes the probe, as well as a double block. It can also be used in order to break off the opponent's sword. At very close range, the hilt of the sword can be used to strike the opponent's head with great force. The straight sword confuses the opponent. An iron ring can also be fastened, and this can be utilized in an attack. There are many ways to use the sword. Well, even though it's effective and it must be used with the correct steps, when moving into an intricate position, if he attacks me now, you'll see that I don't force it. Now again, you can see that the strike comes from the rotation, based on the lever principle. In 1967, there was a TV program about taijiQuan. The show was hosted by Master Kwon Wu. In the very last episode, he fully demonstrated the pushing hands technique, and he asked his master pupil to participate in the show, and hit him in the back at any point he wanted. In rehearsal, the pupil punched at the back of his head, right here. Master turned and threw him off the face of the earth. It was very impressive. At the actual performance, he asked the same pupil not to strike him on the same place on his head, so as to generate more realism. He preferred it to be actual reflexes. So then, the pupil hits at a place on his back, just like before. In one single movement, the master pupil was thrown out of the camera's view.
In Tai Chi, one person, world martial arts champion Master Li Fai, stands out more than most. In her time, she learned from great masters. She herself endeavored to perfect her Tai Chi